How's it going, everyone? So today's video, I wanted to talk about the importance of getting vitamin D. I will be discussing in this topic how much to take, the importance of having adequate amounts of vitamin D, and just some things you also want to watch out for. So the reason why I want to talk about vitamin D specifically, especially you may have heard, and I have briefly talked about it too in other videos, is you may have heard a lot of doctors and physicians talk about increasing your vitamin D due to the flu season, due to especially everyone's all freaked out about COVID. And that's one of the reasons, and this is a good time to be doing this video. So real quick, some health benefits of vitamin D. One is it's very good for your bones, good for bone structure, lessen the chances of osteoporosis, less chance of your bones getting more brittle, especially as you get older, assuming you should probably do some type of weight training as well. The other health benefit is there's a study that said that having adequate amounts of vitamin D will what am I saying? Will decrease your chances of getting heart disease by like 15 to 20%. And heart disease is the #1 killer. But for the sake of this video specifically, a huge benefit of vitamin D is to increase it increases your immune system. That's why you may hear a lot of doctors saying you got to up your zinc, you got to up your vitamin D, especially during COVID, during the flu season. So that's why vitamin D is being talked about more often, and it helps your immune system. So now, with that being said, how much should you take? Now it's going to vary, but the healthy range for most, what I've researched, is between 1,000 to 4,000 IUs. That's a international unit, but you got to convert that, and I'll make this very simple. 1,000 to 4,000 IUs, which is international unit, or that translates into 25 micrograms, which is mcg to 100. So for every 25 micrograms, that equals 1,000. So if you have 50 micrograms, that's 2,000. If you consume 75 micrograms, that's 3,000. And if you consume 100 micrograms, that's 4,000 IUs. So I just want to point that out because some labels are going to say IU, some are going to say MCG, but no worries about that. There's something called Google, the computer. You can have a IU to MCG and MCG to IU converter if it confuses you. So with a multivitamin, most like I take a regular multivitamin. Most multivitamins will have a good amount of vitamin D, but it's more on the lower end. Typically, about you'll get on average, like, I can't remember. I think it's like 25 micrograms, which is 1,000 IUs, which is still okay. It's within the range, but it's a little bit on the lower end. But if you want to up the vitamin D, you're gonna have to get a standard only vitamin D brand, and that strictly just has vitamin D, and those can be a little bit higher. Those can go even higher than 100 micrograms or higher than 4,000 IUs. I'm not sure if I recommend you going past 4,000 right off the bat. I think it's a little bit overkill, because especially although I have to think about it, you could get some vitamin, because you're going to naturally get vitamin D from other sources of food as well, so that might be a little overkill. But I do want to mention that if you are a little bit bigger, you have a little bit more body fat, you're a big boy or a big girl in general, then you can get away with having a little bit more vitamin D. Whereas if you're skinnier and you have a smaller frame, then you might want to err on the side of caution and get a little bit less, be more on the side of the 25 to 50 micrograms, aka the 1,000 to 2,000 IUs per day. So hopefully that video clears it up and was helpful. And the last thing I want to say is, just like with most things, you can overdo it, and if you abuse anything, including vitamin D, there could be some problems. So real quick before I depart, if you take too much vitamin D, you could get vitamin D, basically, what do I call it? vitamin D toxicity, and that can cause too much calcium in your bones, which is hypercalcemia, and that could lead to feeling weak, getting nauseous, feel like you're vomiting, just overall just not feeling very good. And you don't want to do that. If you ever feel like that and you have those symptoms, there's a good chance that you have some toxicity from the vitamin D, and you don't want to do that. So start off with a smaller amount. Also, if you do also get natural sunlight, I don't recommend you getting too much sun, but if you're outdoors, especially in the summertime right now when it's pretty nice, at least in California, if you're getting a little bit more sun, then you probably don't need that much vitamin. I mean, you do want the vitamin D, but you got to remember, like I said, you're getting vitamin D from your diet, you're getting it from, a little bit from the sun. And let's say also you're not that big, so why are you going to take 4,000 IUs? That's just, to me, that doesn't make sense. Start a little bit lower and then see how you feel. And then eventually, what am I saying? And then you'll be able to assess your health, because if you're not getting sick or you get a little bit of the sniffles and you take vitamin D and you're recovering much faster, that means it's doing its job. So, and if you're getting sick constantly, it could be a number of other things, but it could indicate that you might need to up your vitamin D. So hopefully that video wasn't too much of a mouthful, too much of a handful. So like in conclusion, once again, 25 to 100 micrograms, that's the healthy range, roughly. That translates into 1,000 to 4,000 IUs, international units. Thanks for watching. Comments, questions, always welcome. Thumbs up or whatever. I don't really care for that, but that only helps me gauge how useful the video is, and if these are the types of videos you like. So that's my only way to gauge the video, the quality of it. Thanks for watching. Bye.